Hey everyone, I'm thrilled to have you here today as we dive into a discussion that's affecting millions of Americans: what Trump's tax plans mean in 2025. Now, I know taxes might not be the most exciting topic, but hang in there with me. Understanding these proposals is crucial, as they could directly impact your paycheck, IRS deductions, and even your everyday expenses. So let's break it all down and see how these changes could touch our lives. First off, let's talk about paychecks. You might be wondering, how will Trump's proposals influence the amount of money that ends up in your bank account? One significant aspect to look out for is the potential changes to tax rates. If you're like most of us, you want to hold on to as much of your hard-earned money as possible. With tax rates shifting, it's essential to stay informed about where you might fall in the new brackets. So, how many of you are aware of the current tax brackets? Think about it for a second. Could you end up paying more or less under the new plan? Next, we have IRS deductions. Deductions can play an enormous role in your overall tax bill. There are proposals that suggest increasing or limiting certain deductions, which could either ease your tax burden or add to it. For example, considerations around charity contributions and mortgage interest could affect homeowners and philanthropists alike. Have you ever maximized your deductions? If so, you'll want to tune in closely, because knowing how this could change is vital. Now let's move on to everyday expenses. We all have those bills that seem to creep up every month: utilities, groceries, and more. Changes in tax policy can have a ripple effect on the economy, influencing sales taxes and other expenses as well. Just imagine, if certain taxes increase sales prices across the board, you'll feel it when you pay at the register. How would that affect your budget? Have you planned for any financial shifts? And don't forget about social programs. Some of Trump's tax proposals could impact funding for various public services that we rely on. These changes might affect everything from education to healthcare and even infrastructure. Can you imagine if the schools in your area saw cuts? Understanding how tax policies can shape our community resources is crucial, and it's not just about numbers on a page. Let's also dive into some of the potential benefits of these tax proposals. Some aspects may actually aim to stimulate the economy, potentially leading to job creation and higher wages. So, it's not all about losses, right? It's essential to consider both sides of the coin here. How do you feel about that? Could there be an upside even with changes? I encourage you to think critically about these proposals and share your thoughts. What are your concerns? What excites you? Maybe jot them down or discuss them in the comments. I genuinely want to hear from you. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can keep up with all current events and some more insightful discussions around finance and economics. In conclusion, as we approach 2025, understanding Trump's tax plans is more than just reading a document. It's about how we can prepare financially for the changes ahead. Whether it's your paycheck, IRS deductions, or daily expenses, being informed is the first step to being prepared. Thanks for sticking with me as we explored this vital topic. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more we know, the better equipped we'll be to face the challenges ahead. Stay tuned for more insights, and, as always, let's keep the conversation going.